So last week I picked up a CH Products yoke for just £20 I ran into a couple of issues with using it though. Number one, the yoke kept flying towards me because I couldn't bolt it to my desk properly, which I managed to solve with 2 bits of plastic. And the second issue was I have no rudder pedals. The joystick I was using before had a twist function which essentially acted as the aircraft's rudder or the nose steering when on the ground. However, this week I went back on Marketplace and I found some Saitek Pro Flight rudder pedals for £65. Not as good of a deal, but in this video we're going to test them out and see if they actually work. Now I must be honest, if Home Bargains offered a flight simulator setup, this is what it would look like. Ultimately I use this desk for my day job and for relaxing, and it simply isn't geared up to support the 1 hour a week I jump on Flight Simulator. For that reason it wasn't exactly the most fun thing to set up.
You have USB port.
But hey, I still feel pretty lucky. A sub £100 flight sim peripheral setup is probably better than spending £300+ in somewhere like Curry's. Just check out some of these prices. Mind you, my feeling of gratitude was ruined slightly when I found out that my bargain bucket yoke was actually fighting against me. This yoke and its properties, you can see that I'm doing full deflection there, right? And it is not full deflection. Can we calibrate? Oh, After calibrating the yoke and crashing a Boeing 747 in the process, I decided to test out my new rudder pedals with a nice approach into London City Airport. Let's give this a whirl. Why are we at 42,500 feet? I literally God, this thing is... Jesus. Okay. If you're wondering why I didn't just use slew mode, I'm also wondering the same thing. All jokes aside then, I decided to grab a 152 and do a quick pattern at London City. Ultimately this is a totally different way to fly for me. I'm used to a simple joystick, so I needed some practice in a light aircraft. I somehow stalled the engine straight away though. Cool. Right. What have I done? What have I just done? I've got no idea what just happened. I'm not going to pretend to know what just happened. Loads better already. Like I've got more like a feel for the aircraft definitely. It says that as he nearly tips over. Now that is smoother. Which one was my elevator? Lovely. Hat switch. Nice. That's pretty cool. If anyone has any tips or advice on the CH Products yoke, let me know. By this I mean there's way too much friction, and I'm not about to go spray WD-40 all over the exterior of it, so I might have to put some work into taking it apart to find where I need to, you know, lubricate. Perfect. Yeah. I've kind of already seen that, but it was a test just to see if the pedals work. They do. They work really nicely. I wouldn't say they need any work doing to them, like sometimes it benefit from WD-40 or something. They seem to work fine. My old Saitek pedals I had years ago, one of the brakes brake on that, and I just had to change the brakes rather than left and right. It just was a toggle for the brakes, so that it worked fine in the end. But yeah, they seem to be working really well. So I suppose what's next is to try them in an airliner and have a little bit of fun, I suppose. The RHD 767 caught my eye on Marketplace, by the way. I'd love a 767 in the simulator, but reading online the guys just stay sole developer, so I'm wondering if it's essentially just a reskin of the default 747. The flight deck looks great though. It's odd, there seems to be a huge amount of subpar but paid aircraft from Microsoft Flight Simulator now. Braddock with their MAX 8 and A380 and Captain Sim with their numerous attempts at numerous different aircraft. I've no idea why this is the case now, but it's definitely a shame. I was totally rubbish at the landing challenges. By the way, these would be so much more fun with a little more dialogue, like the FS10 days. Actual scenarios rather than just pre-baked approaches, which you can set up in free mode anyway, at least when it doesn't spawn the aircraft at 40,000 feet. I wish things like the ILS were configured too. It's as if they expect a 747 will be flying VFI into an airport or something. The yoke and rudder pedals definitely offer more of a challenge, and my long break from flight sim in general means I've got some work to do before I can break this bargain set up out on the VATSIM network. Configure the ILS for something like this, yeah, way too high.
300.
That's not good.
200.
That's not good. It's so bad. This runway is so short. It's like landing on me.
50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
On the rudder pedals. Reverse. It's still the F2 key, yeah, I know. I think we're pretty much on the centre line, potentially. But I don't think that was a pretty hard landing. Yeah. Yeah. Airframe being inspected. Ground roll 24 feet, that's not terrible. Give the rudder a little kick when we landed. Landing precision, again, not actually that great. I didn't think we did too badly. The 7.4's obviously not that easy to fly on a normal day. But I was all over the place there. Let's have another try. My next attempt was sadly worse, which prompted me to leave the sim for the day. But hey, I've had some great fun thus far with this setup. You may have noticed I'm still using the HOTAS's thrust lever on my right hand side, which feels a lot more natural than using the inbuilt thrust lever on the yoke. I'd say that the rudder pedals, whilst more expensive, have offered the most in terms of improvement of my experience. Sure, the yoke is fun, but it's clearly shown its age, and for me, at least with my tank of an IKEA desk, I have to sit in a pretty awkward way to use the yoke and rudder pedals simultaneously. With the amount of Airbus add-ons in the sim, I think I'll be using a conjunction of the rudder pedals and the joystick, but if I do find myself in a yoke-equipped aircraft, the CH product was 100% worth it for the sake of 20 quid. My next thoughts on improving my experience could be virtual reality headsets. You need a pretty slick PC for this from what I've heard, which isn't really in the spirit of this series, but if I can find a cheap VR headset online, I may look into doing this. It beats looking at my work laptop, Xbox and the singular Dell monitor the sim actually runs on. If you like this sort of content, be sure to hit the subscribe button, and let us know in the comments what you do for your setup. I've come from a mouse and keyboard, but in the past I've had the full Saitek yoke system, so I think now I'm just finding the sweet spot between value, usability and enjoyment. We shall see you in the next video.